Hello fellow people persons, Nate here for MMO Play, bringing you a first look at newest Marvel kinda sorta heroes release, Green Goblin.
Hello, babies.
There was some controversy about his impending arrival when his presence was announced in the third Advanced Pack, given this is supposed to be a game about heroes and Green Goblin's about as heroic as Jeffrey Dahmer on a particularly bad day. But, for those who don't know, Marvel had a storyline a little while back called Axis that turned everyone heroic because comic book logic and other frivolity, so everyone is technically a possible hero now, or something. Anyway, this particular Green Goblin is Norman Osborn, otherwise known as the dude with the weird hair, which says a lot considering this is a universe in which Wolverine is a thing, and the killer of Spidey's ex-hunty, Gwen Stacy. This, by the way, is why I have a Spider-Man team-up for old GG, because I'm just a little bit evil, and more than a little amused by sadistic irony. His playstyle is well suited to this madness as a purveyor of all things exploding. There are bombs everywhere. When he attacks, he bombs. When he flies, he bombs. When he dashes, bombs. When he blows up a bomb, there's more bombs shooting outwards from the bomb. If you like screen shakes and fire, Goblin's the Goblin for you. I'm opening this video with my run through the Cosmic Trial with him to show just how effective he is. It takes more time on him than it has with others, because I haven't had the time to earn nice gear on him yet, specifically in Odin Legendary and his character uniques. This is him in just some standard non-boss artifacts, and the new drop-only leveling legendary from Hightown's Gorgon, the God Killer, which is primarily just an HP and experience point boost, and some any hero uniques suited to hybrids like Dust of Death. As you can see, he does pretty well, which I think says great things about Gazillion's new approach to characters, reducing the amount they release in a year in effort to provide each character with more concept and testing time. Goblin's kit feels very well balanced and responsive. He ends up with a moderate amount of mitigation in all three types of defense and has oodles of AoE, including a low CD confusion bomb that not only increases his survivability, but also dishes out loads of damage over a large area. His signature capitalizes on this concept by dropping oodles of bombs, but, as a bonus, it also makes him invulnerable for the duration of the animation and allows him to move, keeping up with moving enemies and allowing strategic placement outside of potential hotspots post-animation. I've gotta say, I really enjoyed playing Green Goblin despite my distaste for the character in the comic books. His voice acting is top-notch and a joy to listen to, such as his casual taunts and prods at heroes that pass by, or the way his voice gets very deep and scary when he expresses his disapproval of villains like Doc Ock. He's got a lot of character both in the uniqueness of his kit and the actor and artist portrayal of his personality. He's also up there with Punisher with the sheer amount of explosive intensity he brings to battles, though getting his damage to a satisfactory level seemed to take a little more effort than with some others. For the most part, I think this is to be expected. His damage feels a little more like Scarlet Witch or Doctor Strange, who specialize in sustained damage over wide areas rather than especially high numbers against single targets. But also like them, his offense is still plenty respectable, and his survival is far better, keeping him in the game longer with crowd control that's extremely helpful in endgame content, especially in team-based environments like raids and Cosmic Danger Room. His first tree, Madman, focuses more on boosting his other skills, with the exception of his signature ability which lies at the end of the tree. It contains passives like Strength over Sanity, which boosts his damage and increases the damage he does with physical powers, while also offering the power buff to all allies on screen, increasing their damage rating and attack speed. Similarly, his Goblin Spark skill raises energy damage, but instead comes in the form of an active attack skill, with a buff of 3% per use stacking up to 6 times. Late game, this became my primary spam skill with respectable piercing damage that maintains the energy buff prior to dropping his bombs or ultimate ability. Next up, his Bomber Tree, Bag of Tricks. While both this and his next tree are equally capable of dishing out damage, this tree is where the bulk of his crowd control lies, including burns, poisons, seeking, stuns, and mass confusion bombs. I found that even if one doesn't main this tree, a point in either stun or confusion is more than enough to drastically improve his survivability, particularly in large crowd environments like patrol zones. Toss a stun or confusion into a swarm of Skrull Shield operatives in Cosmic Hightown, and suddenly their deadly energy barrage comes to a halt while you mow them down with other skills. One of his 2 specializations also resides in this tree, called the Big One, a gigantic pumpkin bomb that can either enable multiple stuns at once, cause confused enemies to take extra damage from damage over time skills, or cause his Sonic Toad skill to summon tons of toads at once that do increased damage. Finally, his glider weapons tree. This is a tree for those that wish to play Goblin more up close and personal, with melee and movement tags to allow builds that dart in and out of combat rather than bomb from at range. While I didn't invest too heavily in this tree, Rocket Barrage works extremely well with nearly any build, and the utility of Wing Clip, which reflects projectiles in activation and has no cooldown, can be helpful one-point wonder against heavily ranged foes such as aim or shield. Finally, his ultimate skill, Goblin Cannon, is what you've been seeing me unload on large bosses in the form of a gigantic green blasting cannon. This is definitely a bit more muted of a skill compared to even just the rest of his kit's animations, let alone the ultimates of other characters, but the massive amount of damage it yields can't be denied. You'll notice that it took Red Skull down before he was ever able to put up his shield, ending the fight long before the scripted invulnerability events ever had a chance to even happen. This was with terrible gear, while many characters, even with great gear, can't quite manage the same on a solo run. And that's it for Green Goblin. Hope you enjoyed the review. Be sure to subscribe for more, and let me know in the comments what you think of the character.